Okay, how's everybody doing? Um, I want to try to share Ian Juby's video again, and then I had this other video from TED Talk I wanted to share. I wasn't able to the other day. So, um, like in the case of Ian Juby, what he's talking about is that we need to get together and understand what the issues are pertaining to the global flood, the sediment layers in the global flood, because when you start using the vernacular that the secular people use, you're automatically inferring dates and ages and orders and everything, and it's not exactly the way things are found, you know. So he explains that a little bit, and I'm just going to play part of it. You're going to watch the rest of the video if you want, but let me just go ahead and do a screen share. Uh, so I'll share the screen and go. I might have to just play this thing here. I don't know if you can hear it, but you probably hear it through here.
You hear the term geologic column or fossil sequence. What is the picture that comes to your mind? Ta-da! This is the picture that comes to mind. When one says that term geologic column, whether you like it or not, this is the picture invoked in everybody's mind. So herein lies the problem. This geologic column that I'm sure we've all seen depicted, clearly showing the evolution of life throughout the rock record and clearly showing older rocks to younger rocks. This geologic column, as depicted, can only be found at 3 different places on planet Earth. You can probably see where I'm going with this. Verify it for yourself. Don't take my word for it. This geologic column only exists in 3 different places on planet Earth.
3 places.
Textbooks, museum displays, and in the minds of people. It does not exist in physical form anywhere on planet Earth. And even if it did, this fossil order would be invalid anyway. We could not look to this fossil sequence and determine an evolutionary timeline. Let's take a look at why that is. The problem and stumbling block before us is because, as you yourself just demonstrated, all I did was ask what picture comes to your mind when I say the term geologic column. This is the picture that comes to mind, isn't it? The fossil sequence, the order of the rocks, and the ages of the rocks and fossils are all one big picture.
Notice these are all different geographic locations. They're not necessarily um, in the correct order as they're depicted here, but they're different geographic locations. They're even named by different locations. And when they go and they find a fossil, a certain fossil that they want to um, assign, they'll say, "Oh, this fossil belongs here." So they'll call this the Permian or whatever it is, and then they're basically putting things in the order they want.
Three are married together into one. So let me divorce them, first strip them apart, because whether or not there is a sequence or order to the rock layers around the world, and whether or not there is a sequence or order to the fossils around the world, and the ages of those rock layers, those are all completely separate questions and topics.
Okay, so we need to understand that basically just pictures, drawings, and they're just put in the order that they're expected to be or wanted to be. And they're not necessarily in that order, and they're assigned different names depending on what kind of fossils are in the layers. So, of course, it's going to come out the way they want it to be. But if you go to China, the layers aren't in the same order. There's basically just mud layer after mud layer after mud layer after mud layer. It's totally different geologic order or sequence, and it's like completely unrelated. Every different locations around the world, they're not like the Grand Canyon, and even the Grand Canyon is missing layers. So, I mean, you can go on and on about this, but I just wanted to show that maybe somebody can add something to that. But let me just go ahead and jump over to. Hold on a second. Oh, we got Jim here, an Honesty Angel. How you doing? Okay, let me jump over to this other one. This guy is a secular historian, and people don't seem to understand the way people used to live. And the way people used to live and think and understand things is totally different than the way we see things today based on scientific point of view, or basically the influence of Christians who were scientists on Western civilizations. And, of course, the teaching of the Bible, biblical teachings in the Bible. So I just want to play a clip. He's going to turn it around and use it for, say that we need to go back to live like tribal people, which is, nonsense. But he says it in a way that explains what the world used to be like. I just wanted to play it.
The most important things in their real world were not humans at all, but gods. Why? Because gods were awesome, literally. They controlled all the things that made life possible: sunshine, rainfall, crop harvests, childbirth, personal health, family wealth, sea voyages, battlefield victories. There were over 200 gods in Athens, and they were not remote, detached divinities watching over human affairs from afar.
Okay, he just goes on with his talk. But the point that I want to make was that people look down on other people, that believed in gods, but all they were doing were ascribing credit to different powers or different things that affected their lives. And when you understand that all powers come from God, then that helps you to realize that there has to be a God overall, a King of Kings and Lord of Lords, and an all-powerful, all-knowing, and completely able God who's able to do anything. And even transform our lives, especially, is what the point should be in Christian teaching, is to transform our lives. But anyways, some things to think about, I guess. I'm a little bit tired because I didn't sleep yet, but that's about it. So I'll say adios, adieu, or goodbye, whatever it is. Everybody take care.